Before I ever invested my own capital, I spent years evaluating risk from the lender's side. That experience permanently changed how I look at deals today. When people think about lenders, they often assume conservatism or pessimism. But what lenders are actually trained to do is something much more valuable: anticipate where things can break and try to limit the damage when they do. So, today I want to share a few lessons from my lending experience that continue to shape how I evaluate risk, not just in real estate, but in investing decisions more broadly. So, the first lesson I want to share with you from my lending experience is that survival matters more than precision. Lenders do not need the future to be perfect, they need it to be survivable. Lenders assume that things will go wrong and build in adequate cushion when evaluating cash flow projections, including building in margin for safety. And that margin of error matters a lot more than accuracy. You do not need to be right 100%, but you still need to be standing in the end. Lesson number two is that optimism is not a risk strategy. And don't get me wrong, optimism is not inherently bad, but optimism without structure is fragile. So lenders do stress test the base case and the best case scenario. They look under the hood and test and stress test all the assumptions and numbers, because hope is not a strategy. Risk management is not about pessimism, but rather about preparation. Lesson number three is that lenders do listen to the stories, but they also pay attention to the structure. Capital stacks, covenants, reserves, guarantees. These are not technicalities, but shock absorbers. So, structure, for example, is setting covenants that are not super tight, but tight enough to where they would ring the alarm bell and bring everyone to the table. So, the lender and the borrower can proactively have a discussion about how to solve the problem or address the specific situation and find a solution that helps everyone in the end. Strong structure reduces the cost of being wrong. So, my lending background did not make me 100% risk averse, maybe some, but not 100%, but it did make me risk aware. If you want frameworks that prioritize survival, clarity, and thoughtful decision making over hype, subscribe here. That is the perspective I bring to every conversation.